What's up, y'all? You're listening to the Miami Nation podcast. I'm Alex Miller, joined always by the one and only Robert Cessna. Cease, heard you stayed up to watch the A&M men's basketball game last night. I hope they didn't run into any police officers on their way to the airport. They might have gotten pulled over for theft. Man, just absolutely steal a win that it really looked like A&M was dead in the water with about 2 minutes to go.
I thought it was going to be an ugly loss in an ugly game. And suddenly, A&M baseball's the only sport I played. It's like you're in an 0-for-9 slump with 7 strikeouts, and you hit a grand slam on an 0-2 pitch for a walk-off win, and you're thinking like, they've got to be flying high, so high still today, because the look of Beard's face, we weren't even there, just watching on camera, and the fans just, you lose. The only time you're behind is on the last 13 seconds. I mean, those kind of things we know from basketball can help your seeding, help your season, be something when we're sitting at this table in April looking back. Well, you remember Ole Miss?
Yeah, if there's two things in particular that we've learned about Buzz Williams' team so far this season, they might not always play the prettiest brand of basketball, but more often than not, they find a way to win the close game, especially in a big game like last night. You think back to the wins over, say, Creighton or Purdue or Texas Tech, right, who are all quad one type games or will be down the stretch. That A&M has just found itself in the moment that matters to get over the hump, sans, a few instances like Oregon or Alabama or Kentucky. But in those games, they weren't playing at full strength. A&M's still undefeated when they play at full strength, even though Wade Taylor had probably his worst game in 2 years. First time all season, he didn't score in double figures. He was only 2 of 12 from the field, 0 of 6 from 3. And I get it. It's his second game back from injury. He missed a couple weeks there with the undisclosed injury. Here's the thing. A&M's 4-2 now through 6 games. We're a third of the way through the conference slate. What I'm looking at is these next 6 games. The SEC is not easy this season. There is not just a game that you can walk over a team. South Carolina proved that last night when they took Florida down to the wire and should have won. Florida did basically what A&M did and stole a win on the road in Columbia. So there's no easy win, but in terms of manageable stretch, these next 6 games, that is the most manageable stretch of the schedule. And if A&M can find a way to go 5-1 or even 6-0, you're going to look up and say, all right, A&M's in contention to play for a league title down the stretch of the season, that final third.
Yeah, without a doubt. And as you said, you can look around, stealing wins, which A&M did last night, but you wonder how Ole Miss reacts to losing a game they should have won, or South Carolina, because there's the other side of that. But A&M only has to worry about themselves. It's a long season. They're probably going to lose at least one game that maybe they shouldn't have. So but the fact that they get to 4-2 when they're in really good shape, with what you said is coming up, unbelievable. They're seeding. They're probably now a 3 seed by Lunardi. I mean, everything is there for the taking. As you mentioned, their couple best players didn't play well, but they're so deep. Manny hits the game-winning 3, and phenomenal. Anybody can step up. They have about 6 guys, literally, if they have a 10-minute window, can lead this team to victory.
Yeah, I don't think Ole Miss wants to see Manny Obaseki ever again. I mean, you think back to last year, they played them twice in about, a 10-day stretch toward the end of the regular season and then in the SEC tournament. Manny just torched them in both of those games when he really had that hot streak at the end of the season. It's been an up and down season for Manny so far, but last night he really turned it on in the second half, had 12 points there in the final 20 minutes, and like you said, had the game winner with 12.5 to go, which Carter Carls, our friend from 247 Sports, he clipped the radio broadcast of Andrew Monaco and John Thornton at the end of the game. Monaco's great. It was a great call by Andrew. And so, I was just sitting there stunned that A&M even found a way to win.
I laughed because they took such a bad 3 the previous time down. It looked like they rushed and there was no hurry. And I go, man, A&M's, I told my wife, they're succumbing to the pressure. I mean, that was a horrible shot, just absolutely horrible. And then, but when Ole Miss had like 3 out of 4 turnovers, I said to my wife, I said, A&M's going to win this game. They're going to find a way to win this game. I said, I can't believe Ole Miss is just cratering because there's 2 sides to everything. And then when that 3 went down, I said, called it. I said, look, Ole Miss is stunned. They're just stunned, but you're going to have those. It's a long season, but I mean, like I said, that trip back had been awful good for A&M.
Now, if A&M is going to put together a successful stretch here in this second third of the league slate, they're going to need to clean some things up. They're going to need to get Wade Taylor going. Free throw shooting's obviously got to improve. Took a step forward in the right direction last night. They only shot 7-9, which is not good compared to where they've been.
So over 70%. Come on, 7-9. It's like 7-77 somewhere.
There were a couple of games where they really struggled with rebounding. Didn't get much production at all from Anderson Garcia, who really hangs his hat on rebounding, but he has rebounded the last couple of games and had 2 really good performances on the glass against LSU and Ole Miss.
And believe it or not, problem with turnovers last night. They need to cut down on the turnovers, which kind of surprised me.
Which, put an asterisk next to that, because when you look at what Ole Miss has been doing defensively, they're one of the better teams in the conference in defense in general. And through the league games, they had been forcing on average over 17 turnovers a game. So A&M, while yes, it was a season high 20 turnovers, Ole Miss has been playing good defense.
True.
That I think you put an asterisk there. But yes, you need to cut down the turnovers, which they had been doing a pretty decent job. Had less than 10 against LSU. I think they had less than 10 against Kentucky, even though they lost. They had a lot at Oklahoma. Were able to mitigate that in the second half. But and then Wade, of course. I mean, that's your star player. I mean, he's the guy that's chasing the scoring record in school history. And if he's going to average, he can't average 4 points a game. And I don't expect him to average 4 points a game. But, if they can get him back in his groove and in vintage Wade form, I think that A&M is going to be a dangerous team down the stretch. And, Zurich Phelps, for all the good that he did in the time that Wade was out and really carried the scoring, man, when Zurich doesn't have to put the weight of the team's shoulders on offense on his back, it really just opens things up, I feel like, when Wade can facilitate it to him. And I think you saw that in his field goal percentage against LSU. He was 6 of 13, where he had been, a 9 of 29 the game before against Kentucky. So, when you start evening those things out, Wade had 5 assists last night. That's huge, right?
Sure.
And
10 points or 15.
So if A&M can circle the wagons a little bit on some of the little things and just take care of business, they're going to be in really good contention come the middle of February.
Yeah, and Buzz is noted for being a fine guy at fine-tuning those things. Like he'll say, we didn't do well in our rebounding these last 2 games, or he'll say, we need to approach this. And usually, something else might crop up, but he's really good at doing what you're saying, finding the number 1, number 2 problem for that week or that game and fixing it.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Buzz's teams tend to get better as the season goes on, and they tend to peak and crescendo at the right time in March. I by no means think this A&M team is peaking right now. They definitely can play much better basketball. But the difference right now is where in the past where A&M might have lost this game at Ole Miss by 1 or 2 points, or lost the game at Oklahoma by 1 or 2 points, and you're looking at they got a 4-game losing streak, they're 2-4, they're going on the road to play their rival where they haven't beaten 20-something years. A&M's finding the way to win some of these games and not have a big lull in the middle of the season where it's March and all of a sudden they got to make a run to the conference tournament final just to be on the right side of the bubble and not sweat it out when the brackets are dropped on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, but like you said, you got to be careful that you don't go to Texas and lose. Texas playing well, or be the first team to lose a league game to South Carolina. you can come. This league can humble you real quick. You can easily have an 0-2 weekend, and sometimes you can play not that bad, but your other team just has somebody get hot and hit 8 or 9 threes, and you lose the game.
Yeah, this game Saturday is I think it's gonna be kind of lower scoring. I think it's gonna be similar to what we saw last night, kind
Warfare.
of that upper 50s, lower 60s kind of game. And you're right, Texas. I got a glimpse of them Tuesday night when they played Missouri, and man, the way they closed out that last 10 minutes, Texas really looked like they kind of turned it on to a different level. And so it's hard to beat a team twice. And without a doubt, A&M's going to have a challenge on Saturday.
Texas really didn't impress me when I was here. I covered that game in person. I go, I think Texas, and you can't judge a team by once. I've seen it, it's too long of a season. So I noticed, I did watch a little bit of that Missouri game. I said, man, they look a lot different. And some teams, let's be honest, they play well at home sometimes. Sometimes just being at home will be the difference. And then you've got a rivalry game. Who's going to have that 28-point game that's maybe averaging 18? Or, who's going to be 10 points over their average? And like you said, in a 60-point game, one person goes 10 points over his average, might win the game.
Speaking of guys that went over their average, I have a feeling next Tuesday when A&M hosts Oklahoma, they're going to be a little more focused on Bryson Goodine, who dropped 34 on him in Norman. Got to think that guy is probably on the scouting report a little more this time.
And Arkansas had a guy last year. Now Kentucky, he was basically beat A&M single-handedly. You got to watch out for those guys because, like I said, when they get hot, and certain guys have certain teams that when they see the color of that uniform or see guys that they know or a competitor, they just lift it up. So until A&M stops them, they haven't stopped them.
Well, Cease, you feeling? Where's kind of your confidence meter on where this A&M season is going? All things said, of what we just talked about.
I think they got a solid chance to be a number 3 seed and higher, and that's where you want to get because you get to be a number 4 seed. That means you're at the mercy of the committee of which number 1 seed you go to, and that's huge. Sometimes you're better off being a 6 seed than a 4 or 5 if you're looking at doom come the Sweet 16 or a bad matchup. Let's put it that way. And we all love matchups about March Madness. So you get a 3 seed or higher. It's all about you. It's not about the other team. It's about you. And right now they have all the potential to be a 3 or even a 2. You get really hot. Come on, they're top 10 right now. If they, like you said, if they only lose one more game the rest of the way, they maybe be a 2 seed. But once again,
if they only lost one more game the rest of the way, they might be pushing for the one line.
So then you got to worry about slipping down because once again, you have a bad weekend, bad week. Excuse me. You can go from a 3 to a 5, or you can go from a 4 to a 6, because guess what? There's a lot of good basketball teams.
Well, hey, on the women's side, the A&M women, they're trying to find their way and stay in contention for a postseason berth. Big game tonight against LSU. What do you feel like A&M's got to do to have a shot at pulling an upset and finding a way to get another big win to put a feather in their cap?
Well, what's encouraging for A&M is twofold. They had a week off after a win, and anytime you're not winning, a win is a big deal. So they had a whole week for their players that haven't played a lot because of injuries to get more in sync with the program, so to speak. The team that they beat, Georgia, actually played Kentucky close. Kentucky is one of the most untested 17-1 teams you're going to see. They're picked 8th in the league. They're 5-0. They should win their next 2 games. If they're 7-0, they still would not have played anybody picked ahead of them. So they had a very easy schedule. I'm not saying they're not good because you look on paper, they've got 4 returning starters from other teams.
Hey, 17-1 still 17-1.
17-1. So if A&M can play a good game, do I think they can win? Yes. Do I think they will win? No. But I think their level of play is important because then Sunday they go to LSU. LSU and Kim Mulkey particularly has a deal of getting up for A&M. Now she's going to play South Carolina on Friday, so she could have a hangover for a loss. But then also, I know Kim Mulkey, if they lose, she's going to come out with, red in her eyes to really lay it on A&M. So A&M needs to play well against Kentucky. Of course they would like to win, but you got to. Kentucky's one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country, and if it's 15-2 after 4 minutes because they hit 5 threes, it's going to be over. I mean, they just but like we're talking about the men, hope springs eternal. If A&M plays well, wins a game, or just comes close, they'll have some confidence because they got confidence from the Georgia. And there for a while, they didn't have a lot of confidence.
Okay, I think I misspoke. So A&M plays Kentucky tonight. Thursday. It's
Sunday LSU,
okay.
3 o'clock
I
there.
had them flip-flopped.
That's okay, no big deal.
Flip-flopped.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're playing, think about it, they're playing two teams that are combined like 39-1 or whatever, and it's the first time they've ever played two teams back-to-back with that good a winning percentage in program history in games past like December. They played one to open the year out with 2 ranked teams, whatever. Okay, they're 1-0. That's a pretty good percentage. But women have, let's be honest, where the men's gloating, women have work to do.
Well, a little football talk sprinkled in this show. We like a little bit of football. I know it's January. It's not the Cowboys, who they're going to hire. Don't ask me about it. Cease's hoping that Jerry keeps tanking the franchise.
Just keep being Jerry.
Just keep being Jerry. Yeah. Anyway, Mike Elko, okay? It sounds like there might be a little shakeup with the defense. We got reports from our friend Billy Lucci and some others that Mike Elko has hired. The name just slipped from me. Lyle. I'm having a
Linwood or I wish you would have said it.
He's hiring the defensive coordinator from James Madison.
Co-defensive coordinator.
Right.
Linwood or, I hate to say it, isn't that horrible? But why don't you look that up?
We're having a moment.
But anyway, here's the deal is we don't know what his role will be. And to be quite honest with you, after the Las Vegas Bowl, we all thought that defensive coordinators Jay Bateman, at least I thought he might be looking for another job because Elko went off. He was really upset with his defense. So I think when I say we, everybody that followed the program expected changes. So what's interesting is they didn't hire a name.
Lyle Hemphill.
Hemphill.
That's right.
I remember a city in Texas.
Hemphill, Texas, correct.
And I wasn't thinking, I'm thinking like what? But anyway, it wasn't a name. We all had to look up who is Hemphill. But, most importantly, he's worked with Elko. So once again, you talk about Buzz fixing things. Elko knows he's got to fix the defense. The defense had problems last year, bigger problems than the offense. Because like I said here, we could talk for 5 hours of why the offensive wide receivers and quarterbacks weren't on the same page half the time. But it's defense. So it'll be interesting to see move forward how Hemphill fits in and how is Elko going to call more of the plays, all the plays, help with the game plan, but not call the plays. The beauty of it is, A, it's football. B, here we are on January 23rd, 22nd, I guess it is. But we all care about football. Football is what stirs the drink. So I'll be interested to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see what exactly his role with the defense is and how that affects the other guys that are already on staff.
Mm-hmm. Are they all staying? I mean,
is somebody leaving? Is it an on-field role?
Correct. We see a lot of times people will still leave, or some people will even stay on staff through spring training. And some people say, like, let's stay through this recruiting cycle in February, then they'll be staffed.
Well, the recruiting cycle is pretty much done.
Basically done. I understand, but maybe for other schools, whatever.
That's true.
So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
On that front.
Needless to say, A&M needed to shake something up with its defense. There's no doubt about it, and this is at least the first visible move that we've seen of at least leadership possibly being rearranged in some shape or fashion or manner. We'll see exactly what that entails the next time we get to talk with Elko, hopefully.
Who's put all the tension on defense is Elko. If he wouldn't have had his 7-minute meltdown after the Las Vegas Bowl, would I have thought there was changes on defense? I'd say I think so, but not to the degree that I expected after Elko went off, that they couldn't cover the forward pass. They couldn't do a zone, and he would never see a defense like that again. So I'm saying, like, wow, I expected major changes, and maybe there still will be. Or maybe he was just so mad. I get mad a lot of times afterwards and go, like, did I really say that? Did I really do that? Alex is a good kid. Why did I explode on him? No, just kidding.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you could find a reason or two.
Nah. Just get mad at Rick. Okay.
All right. Well, hey, tennis is about to really start cranking up. Got some other sports that are starting to find their way. Indoor tracks underway. Had a home meet here. So
I got some friends that are big tennis boosters, and they'll be out there. And this is a good time to be a tennis fan at Texas A&M and Bryan College Station because the women defended national champs. And what I have to laugh is, I think they're bringing back almost everybody on their roster. Their top two, they're picked third in the SEC. You ever notice the SEC is pretty good in all sports?
Really?
But what's funny is, like I said, you're the defending national champs, and you're picked third in your conference.
Yeah, and it's what, Georgia and Texas?
Georgia and Texas, which is not bad picks. Trust me, it's like
no.
If you want,
they beat Georgia in the championship, and Texas
after losing 3 to them, yeah. If you want to go tennis, go tennis.
Is Howard Joffe still the women's?
Joffe.
Sorry.
He's not related to Hemphill.
Good to know.
But it's close in the alphabet. Joffe and Hemphill. Oh no, Hemphill and Joffe. I can get my alphabet here. Okay.
Where's C fall in line for Cessna?
C for Cruddy.
Well, that about wraps up this episode of the My Aggie Nation podcast. Hopefully you didn't think it was too cruddy. We had fun talking a little A&M basketball and other sports.
There's another 3 from Manny. Holy cow. Good.
Wow. Cease, you know I'm a big food guy. What's one of your favorite spots to go to in Austin if you ever head over that way? You got a spot you like to go to in Austin?
Well, I mean, Ironworks barbecue is always good. Believe it or not, I don't get a lot of seafood, so I just, if I'm over there for multiple days, I'll find Pappadeaux one time if there's multiple days. But as far as what's the Mexican food restaurant? Great Mexican food restaurant that I drew a blank on. Know how to get.
What, Taco Bell?
No, I'm on the ego count at that point when I go over there. No, but great places to eat in Austin without a doubt. There's a couple barbecue places, almost any, because I like to go to Hoover's. Hoover's, it's run by an Aggie, Skip Walker, former A&M player, and I got turned on because it's close to, not very far from Dishwalk, or if you're going to softball as well. And Cedric Golden, in Kirk and those guys, told me to go. That's a good place to do. And, all restaurants, I think I'm back there once, whatever. Some of those restaurants have changed since COVID. Say what you will, whatever. But I went to Hoover's last year. It was okay. Took the daughter over there, whatever. But a lot of good places in Austin.
Hey, one of my favorite places in Austin, Aggie-owned Style Switch Barbecue over there on, I think it's on Lamar. It's either Lamar or Burnett. I can't remember.
I don't know. I've been to a few of them, and I'll have to look it up online where to get there, whatever. I can't remember having bad barbecue in Austin. Let's put it that way.
No.
And there's a place you can walk from the Superdrum, too. It's a barbecue. Forget what it's. Stubbs or something. So anyway, there's some good
Stubbs
places
is down there, but
the
drum's not there anymore.
Yeah, but it still was there.
I think they're building a hospital or something there.
Yeah, I might need one. You never know.
I think our viewers are going to need to go to the hospital after listening to this episode. Hey, be sure to check theeagle.com for all of our coverage on A&M sports. Lord willing, we'll be back next week on the My Aggie Nation podcast.